Gen Z is known to be the most controversial generation we've ever seen, constantly called out for being disrespectful, lazy, overly sensitive, and way too extreme on how they see the world. So today I've put down the list of the 7 deadliest sins of Gen Z, something that we seriously need to talk about. And when it comes to talking, it's not Gen Z's strongest suit, so it brings us to our first deadly sin.
Super bad social skills.
Gen Z is absolutely cooked when it comes to socializing at work, at college, at school, or any other public space. And it's not only about communications, it's also about making friends, building connections, and finding a potential partner for themselves. Gen Z is experiencing unprecedented levels of social anxiety and low self-confidence, which is heavily driven by social media use and pandemic-era isolation. Walking into a room full of people feels like a Mr. Beast challenge. You get sweaty palms, your heart is racing, and your mind going blank. And it's more common than you think. And 91% of Gen Z adults say that they felt physical or emotional stress symptoms tied to anxiety and depression, often triggered by social interactions. Even making a phone call has become a challenge for a lot of people. They'd rather send 20 text messages instead of speaking over the phone for 1 minute. Speaking up in a crowd of people feels even more impossible, as you're always afraid of being awkward or cringy. The amount of chaos and trauma that Gen Z have gone through in the last 8 years is the main reason for that. And it takes a lot of time and willingness to rebuild this confidence when it comes to social interactions. Poor social skills indeed is a big problem. But there is something even worse that Gen Z shouldn't be proud of.
Smoking vape.
Gen Z's obsession with smoking vape is one of their biggest downfalls. And I bet you've ever had a situation when you walk into your school or college bathroom and you can barely see anything because of the smoke in it. And there is a group of 16-year-olds gathering in a circle, passing vape over to each other, talking about how they hide it from their parents and what flavors they've tried recently. The World Health Organization warns that in many countries, young people smoke more vape than adults do. And they like it because it has nicotine salts, so you get a bigger hit with almost no throat burn. When I was at school, we had only one person smoking, and everybody was avoiding him. That was me. I was a dumbass, I know, but I want to bring up some numbers. In 2024, electronic cigarettes were the most commonly used tobacco product among middle and high school students in the United States. 1.63 million students currently use electronic cigarettes. This includes 400,000 middle school students and 1.2 million high school students. And it's the most widely used tobacco product in the US. And in Europe, the situation is even worse, I believe. By the way, have you ever seen how vapes are tested? Just have a look at that. Yeah, for sure some horrible things are gonna happen to your lungs after that. Anyway, teenagers are getting exposed to social media content that actively features people who are smoking vape, or some guys doing tricks with it, and it looks very seducing to them. They're far more likely to try e-cigarettes themselves. And you can't really cancel a tobacco company because it's impossible. The scale is too big, the money involved is too big. But what can be cancelled though are people for some things and jokes they said 10 years ago. That's our next deadly sin.
Extreme cancel culture.
One of the most controversial deadly sins of Gen Z is extreme cancel culture. And nowadays, in our society, it's a very important thing, especially when you need to cancel some predator billionaire guy who's just trying to cover himself with his money. But some of this stuff is just purely made up out of nothing, and it costs people their career, relationship, and mental health. And the problem is that today, you can get cancelled for literally anything. Someone tweets a joke 10 years ago or says something controversial slightly. A handful of people call them out, and suddenly their career, their friendship, everything is on the line. That's extreme cancel culture, where calls for accountability spiral into a total social exile. And it's everywhere. Gen Z willingness to join a cancel movement is closely tied to their belief in a just world. Plus, seeing others do it makes them more likely to jump in themselves. There was a research by Carlow University which says that 75% of students have held back their own unpopular opinions for fear of backlash. And many admit that the stress drove them to step back from social platforms entirely. And I think it's so fucking hypocritical because everyone has some dirt on themselves. We're all humans. We all have some things we had said that might be offensive, which meant to be as a joke but not a good one. But it's not the reason to destroy another person's life for making a bad joke 10 years ago if you just make a TikTok meme about the N-word. You know, I feel so bad for Mr. Beast who gets cancelled for literally any good thing that he does for people in his charity videos. People who do this kind of stuff probably don't have any personal life or some things to keep themselves busy with. Taken together, these patterns show a generation caught between a desire of justice and unconscious totalitarianism. Cancel culture started as a tool for holding power to account, but in its extreme form, it risks silencing the very conversations we need most and making people silence their opinion. And if anyone deserves to be cancelled, it's the self-improvement gurus selling dreams and dopamine. Gen Z has become obsessed with chasing success, self-improvement, productivity, and trying to boost their life to the maximum level. But our Lord Jesus Christ said that this is a deadly sin as well.
Obsessive self-improvement.
I won't get tired of talking about self-improvement, but for real, it's the plague of the 21st century. Don't get me wrong. Not all self-improvement is bad, just someone uses it very effectively to earn money from insecure people. And this stuff got so deep that even kids started doing that already. I mean, just look at this.
In the life as a 14-year-old making $10K a month from his phone. First thing I did when I woke up was go outside and touch some grass, but then I got bored, so I decided to start my shift. First thing I do is head over to AI and hit new video. Then I ask. From here, I post the video on TikTok and watch the money flow in. So if you want the tool, just comment the word.
I mean, it's really a f***ing brain rot, considering that there are hundreds of videos like this. Bro, you're just 14. Your voice didn't even get cracked. You should go out and enjoy childhood with other kids. Jesus Christ. Let me explain to you why it's bad. Global digitization has reshaped competition across every sphere in life, pushing everyone to be unique and stand out from the crowd. Whether it's looks maxing glow-ups or journaling method from some CEO tutorials, these hacks and tips promise you a lot of stuff. But most of it is just fast dopamine that makes you feel like you're doing some progress. However, in reality, you're not doing anything valuable. No wonder productivity hacks and secret routines have become so popular that Instagram and TikTok and YouTube are now hailed as the new classroom for hustle culture. It caused many people to feel extremely anxious and depressed about themselves, as there is a constant FOMO because of the amount of videos these creators are posting, which is like thousands. And often their videos have quite aggressive messaging, making things even worse. I even made a whole video about it right here. And you know, the funny thing is, for all hustle, culture talk, and rising grind energy, most of us can't even stand the idea of working 9 to 5. Turns out, preaching success is way easier than working for it, especially when the modern work feels like a slow, soul-draining trap, which is actually a very nasty sin of Gen Z.
Very poor working culture.
Gen Z's relationship with work is anything but traditional. More than a half of Gen Z people said they'd rather freelance or build their own business instead of doing a 9-to-5 job.
I'm literally 6 months into my first corporate job and I already want to quit.
How am I expected to work a 9-to-5 every single day when I have not done 8 hours of anything in the last 4 years?
People are complaining that they can barely pay their bills or afford anything. But in most cases, it's their first corporate job after college. They don't expect to earn like Jeff Bezos, right? And there are two things I want to bring up here. In most cases, people who are complaining about their 9-to-5 have no previous work experience except for their diploma. And it's quite a common practice that at the start, you earn less than you expect because you don't have any expertise. That's what millennials and boomers definitely have gone through. Gen Z expressing resentment about the corporate work life cause it makes them insecure about their future. They are feeling trapped. But that's the reality. There is no other way you can live the life but work for it, whether it's freelance or business or 9-to-5 job. And not everyone has the guts and luck to become an entrepreneur. The new generation of workers just isn't built for the grind of a traditional corporate office job anymore. Studies comparing manual laborers and office workers have found that people doing hands-on physical jobs often report a more positive outlook on life, because corporate jobs, despite being cleaner and more stable on paper, tend to be mentally, emotionally, and even physically exhausting. As for the regular labor workers, the tangible nature of their work and stronger community ties help them to stay positive. Can we call it a sin? Maybe. At least we can say that Gen Z needs to learn how to work and value what they already have.
The death of respect.
Gen Z's level of respect towards older generations is somewhere at the bottom, just like their self-esteem.
Who the f you think you are? I'm not f***ing playing!
Teachers, parents, regular old people, who the f are they? They work a regular 9 to 5, paying taxes and saving money for retirement. That's not something to be proud of and look up to, right? Studies show that many young people no longer automatically defer to parents, teachers, or older adults. Instead, they view them as peers. Gen Z loves calling out adults on what's right to say or believe, but to older generations, it often just comes off as disrespectful. Gen Z has completely crossed the line of social norms and values, especially with prank videos where teenagers are making fun of older people in a very inadequate and provocative way.
Does Daddy like that?
Give me the cops!
Why the did you come up to me and do that?
I didn't mean to.
Apart from pranks, there is another horrible side of that, which is 20-year-old millionaires. When success tips come from YouTuber or TikTok 20-year-old gurus rather than elder mentors, the implicit message is that age equals outdatedness. It doesn't take years to succeed in life anymore. It takes a couple of months with some trendy TikTok videos or YouTube faceless channel. Around half of Gen Z people admit that they're more inclined to follow guidance from influencers than to heed parental or teacher advice. Furthermore, socially anxious part of Gen Z, already less comfortable in face-to-face settings or conversations, find digital gurus easier to approach and follow. But when you blindly follow someone, doesn't it make you a mindless sheep in a herd with no personal opinion? Yeah, which is our last and the worst deadly sin.
Silence of the lambs.
One of the worst sins of Gen Z is lack of personal opinion, or in some cases a complete absence of it. A lot of young people rely on the masses. Social media dictates them what to like and what to hate, what is cringe and what is cool. It's gotten to the point where even liking someone who's been cancelled or caught in some sort of controversy can get you completely iced out of a social circle. And people who do that, they don't care. It's like a tribe thing. When you're not the regular one with a common opinion, you're a freak, you're dangerous, go away. These days, sharing your opinion, whether it's online or IRL, feels like walking on eggshells. Say the wrong thing and suddenly you're getting cancelled, dragged, or completely written off. And it's never felt this intense before. So why would I share my opinion if there is a famous influencer with millions of fans whose opinion I can easily follow and feel safe? And whose opinion I take as a valuable source of information? It's safer to blend in than to stand out. Safer to repost what everyone else is saying than to question it. But at some point, you stop thinking for yourself. And that's when the real damage starts. Because if you never learn how to form your own opinion, how can you even know what things to believe? Like, what the f is going on in your mind? How do you separate what is true for you and what is just trending? And when everyone thinks the same, no one's thinking at all. Because you need to have opinion on things. That's how your personality grows and how you build up your character. You're building your character not by following the crowd, not by following trends, but identifying something for yourself, by yourself, which is good for you. Yeah, a lot of self-reflection. If you think there are some other deadly sins of Gen Z, please welcome to the comment section. If you guys want to see more content, please follow my Instagram page and my Patreon. Love you all, guys. Bye.
Ooh.